Hey, we're going to do some quick tutorial through Artcraft. This is a paint and drawing application. So let's just go through the way the tools work. You can kind of click through these things and they'll switch the tool. There's also a big menu on the side where we have other things like loading and saving. Have an undo, so if I paint some stuff I can undo through that. This is for the grid, and this is for the mirror over there. You can grab things with the grips on the controllers, and if you grab them with two controllers, you can move them apart and bring them together to make things bigger. And that also works for zooming and as well, so I can zoom a whole scene in and out. We have a regular zoom control, so we can go to 1:1 if we want to, or we can also step through in here and make things larger or smaller. To fly around, it's kind of interesting. You basically hold down the pad and just basically move, and it has kind of a way to move around that way. You can also draw while you fly, which is somewhat enjoyable. So I recommend everybody try that. You can have two controllers going at once, which is kind of nice. Let's see, I made a big long thing. And you can also go through and choose a variety of different ways of drawing it. So let's go through those really quick. Of course, we have basic color, so we can do that. We also have some different shapes for the brush, like a strip, maybe familiar with. And I think there's also the square brush. Pressure is controlled by the calipers. So if I want to have something like a really large brush, I can set them both. But if I set it small to large, you can see now I have a wide range of the sizes. Probably good to show you erase, which basically you just click at stuff, and it's a little crazy right now. I'll probably be sorting that out. It also has a group feature, which I'll probably get into in another one. Let's just go through some of these tools really quick. That was the draw tool. We also have a hull tool, which lets you quickly make shapes. One of the nice things that you can do with the shape tools and create tools is auto grouping, and we'll just pull up the color here for this so we can kind of do this. And what I did is I chose new group. So now when I make this, will switch to last group. A little confusing, but I'm basically creating a little group of objects. And this is a quick way to build groups and keep things straight. One of the kind of nice things about Artcraft is if you're grabbing something, you can click the trigger, and that'll make a clone. And you can basically create a whole bunch of these things. The other nice thing when you have a group, we have a scope tool, and that'll treat the whole group together, so we can kind of work on things, pull them apart. I'll show you more of that later. Motion not worth going into right now. The lighting tool is pretty key. This is where we kind of control what the skybox would be for your scene. We have white. We also have some things that come in from the workshop, like the Milky Way. I think we have some. Yeah, here's Yokohama. And there's a nice, I think, sky dome. It's just a single image. The skyboxes are represented as either a six-sided cube with that many images, or you can also do it with a single image, and you basically can build your own skyboxes that way using your own photos. Just going through some more. Clone is a lot of fun. By default, it does a crazy spherical clone. It's kind of got a nice Fibonacci thing to it. But we can also do a square clone. This is columns. Has an iterator for doing shared versus many. We'll see that. It's a lot of stuff. We'll just erase those. There's also erase all. Next is the creator. This is kind of where we have all of our objects that can come in. You know, the simple one being this box. And probably worth talking about now is some of the materials, which I kind of didn't go through. This is the material panel. And I want to make sure we're zoomed in. And the material panel basically gives us a choice of things that we have loaded into the system. There's a user directory, which is kind of like your Artcraft documents directory. There's a user directory, you just dump things in there and they'll show up. I have way too many to really get through that right now, but I think I accidentally. It does a directory search as well, so you could end up with lots of stuff. In any case, we have lots of these things coming out on the workshop. It'll be easy to get, and I'll show you those later. But basically, they're back in here. You have full bump map and texture maps and so forth. So also in here is we have the object chooser. So the type of objects, and again these are in the system as like OBJ files, FBX files. You can also have a Unity asset come in. It's kind of complicated, but it'll look through bundles. GLTF. Not sure the others off my head. Anyway, you can see here I had some things I had just dropped into my user directory. Here's a coffee cup. Coming back over here, kind of nice, some nice features with this guy. Let's start. If I just let's go back to just a basic cube. Actually, a sphere would be cooler. So I'll do this dome thing right here. I still have my things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab cylinder, okay? And this is, you can see it creates cylinders. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set snapping to object snap, and this should work. And you can see it kind of starts to, you can drop these on here, which is kind of fun. So if you ever wanted to make a lot of knobs on something, I mean, this is your ticket. That's snapping. And this has the groups as well, so you can create groups while you do that. Finally, let's get into one of my favorite things, which is, well, we should show this, the screen grabber. This is also one of my favorite things. So you take pictures and you get other stuff out of the way. So I got a picture of my thing. And then it gives you a little Polaroid. So you can kind of look at it and go, okay, that wasn't what I wanted. It's like, oh yeah, I got my cursor in there. You get the gist. So once you've done that, it's available in the gallery, as well as your bad ones too. But there you go, you can see it. And then kind of nice in there, we have a little, what did that do? Did I hit it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So there's my VR print. So I can kind of put that up on the wall. One thing you'll notice is lighting. You got some control here, fortunately, because you can see this guy's in the shadow. So let's deal with that. A lot of stuff in my way here. Hold on. Just get rid of all this. So I can create lights. I can also adjust my my ambient. So I could do that if I want, and that's for overall. Or I could create a spotlight, and what you do is they have color, and then you have a choice of spot directional. Here I'll just choose a point light, and that'll light up everything. And you can see that, just put that in the scene. It's not having much contribution, and that's probably, let's just do it again. Due to the color. So let's take a look at it. The light, and make the color white, and create it. Okay, and there you can see it kind of lit this up a little bit better. We'll drop our ambient now. Some other things in the light tool showed you it controls your sky dome. Sometimes things get slow and you want to turn shadows off because shadows are a little bit expensive. They look really nice, and things self-shadow as well, and that's something we may have to deal with as an option later. There is, but basically you can turn your shadows off. You can also down your anti-aliasing if you really need the additional speed. I'll just leave them on because they kind of look nice. It does a time of day, so the sun moves around. You can move around. You can get to, you can see the golden hour is represented, and we get a nice little reflection. I'm not sure how we're going to really address this, but that was one of the features in there. Okay, so now I wanted to show this, and this is going to be the end. Let's see. This is the 3D paint, and this is fun stuff. So let's just, I don't even know what to do. I'm going to make this sphere, I guess. And kind of go through this. Basically, colors, it defaults to kind of this kind of a brushy-like thing. You can kind of get in there, and you can see it kind of has a, it has a lot of things like density, so you can take the density down really low, and you can see I'm painting with the pressure. Well, you can't see that because you're just in VR, but so you can get very delicate with the brush on that. Also, the size of things can be varied, so you can make things smaller. There's different shapes, of course. So circle radius, not a lot right now, but you know, enough. You can also paint with materials, which is something I felt was important. So if we go and pick a texture like this brick, and turn my density back up. Yeah, you can see there it goes. And what we want to do is also keep the size consistent, I think. Oh, there's some trick to this. Oh, not rotating. Yeah, this is important. So if you're going to do transfer texture, you want to turn off rotate. By default, the brush will rotate to the direction you go, which will spin the texture around. It's kind of cool for sensing things, though. And so you can see here we've got kind of the. Now that can vary. Now here, let's use a fall off brush. It'll be a little simpler. It'll make sense. You can see I'm just sketching in like a smaller version of the rocks. So you can change the texture size, and you know, playing with density and stuff lets you really, you could address any kind of weird repeats patterns you see, things like that. There's a, by default, spline features off. You'll probably notice if you have something like you're drawing on, it'll skip around. If you turn spline on, it'll do a consistent line, so you can see it doesn't drop on you. So that's basically it. Anyway, I think that's a good introduction. When you're done with your work, you go to save, and you save the scene. Yes, and that's all it is. It's very quick. Doesn't need to cook anything out. You also have export. If you do that, it'll export the whole scene to an FBX. I didn't really go through it, but here's all your options for kind of like the defaults for things. I don't think it really matters if you're right or left-handed. One thing, I didn't really get into this. If you want some fun, we have avatars as well. You can turn it on for yourself. I don't have it on right now. But here I just turned it on for the mirror tool, which I didn't really show. Mirror, where are you? Oh, I lost them here. Well, all right, we'll save that for next time.